Let me start with you, Emma. You had this extraordinary experience when you arrived in Iraq, where you didn't quite know what you were getting yourself into, but you ended up as the governor of Kirkuk, which you hadn't expected. Just tell us about that briefly.
Well, I was somebody who was very much against the Iraq war. But after the invasion, the British government sent out an email asking for volunteers to go out to Iraq for 3 months to administer the country before we handed it back to the Iraqis. And I'd spent a decade working in the Palestinian territories, so I had skills in capacity building and conflict mediation, so I thought I had some useful skills to offer. And I wanted to go out to apologize to Iraqis for the war and to help them rebuild their country. I didn't want the only foreigner that Iraqis got to meet to be a man with a gun. So I responded to the email. But before I left, I didn't know what my job was going to be. I didn't receive any briefing. I just had one phone call from somebody in London saying, find your way to RAF Brize Norton, jump on a plane, get to Basra, you'll be met by somebody holding a sign with your name on it and taken to the nearest hotel, and everything will be explained. Now, it sounded plausible. The invasion had been 3 months prior. I assumed the British government knew what it was doing, they just hadn't told me. So I followed the instructions, arrived in Basra, and nobody was expecting me. There was nobody, no sign with my name on it. So I spent my first night sleeping in the airport in Basra. And the next day, I found a plane that was going to Baghdad. So I flew up to Baghdad. From there, I made my way to the Green Zone, to the Republican Palace that had been Saddam's headquarters and was now the headquarters of the Coalition Provisional Authority. So I said, hello, I'm Emma from England, here to volunteer. And I received my first briefing then. It was from a British colonel who told me that the security situation in Iraq was stable and things were fine. And they said, we've got enough people in Baghdad, try the north. But they didn't say where. So I flew to Mosul, and they said, we've got somebody here, keep on going. So I kept on going until I got to Kirkuk. And when I arrived in Kirkuk, I was told I was the senior civilian in the province, reporting directly to Ambassador Bremer.
So when you told John Chilcot this story, apparently he fell off his chair. He couldn't believe it.
Well,
literally.
Yes, I mean, his jaw just hung. They just couldn't believe that I had ended up so randomly in such a position. I mean, I had never run a town in the UK, let alone, a province in someone else's country. And in my first week in Kirkuk, I survived an assassination attempt.
Extraordinary.